Welcome viewers. Today I'll be discussing about the organizational design options where I will discuss specifically about Mintzberg's typology of organizational structure. Uh, Here we are going to discuss about Mintzberg's typology of organizational structures, definition of generic components of organizational structures, various typologies of organizational structures, characteristics which are specific to the each type of configuration, and further we will discuss about limitations of each of these types of configuration, and then linking why there is a relationship between strategy and structure. We will conclude with the discussion. So, introducing the concept why there is a need to understand Mintzberg's typology. In this section, we will discuss how Mintzberg's typology is very crucial to understand organizational designs, as it reveals how an organization's key parts, that is, strategic apex, the middle line, the technostructure, the support staff, and operating core, how are they important for organizations? How is it related to the coordinating methods like standardization, mutual adjustment, and decentralization, and how it is combining into 5 distinct configurations, that is, simple structure, machine bureaucracy, professional bureaucracy, divisional bureaucracy, and adhocracy. Let us understand all of them in more details. It helps leaders to understand and diagnose the problems, tailor structures to organizational strategy, and balance the control mechanisms with flexibility for effectiveness rather than applying a one size fits all solutions. What is Mintzberg's typology of organizational structure? Let us explore in more details. Who is Mintzberg? In early 1980s, Henry Mintzberg, a Canadian economist who has specialized in organizational management, has broken down the organization into 5 generic components. And what is its role in coordinating the task? So, we are going to discuss in more details the strategic apex, middle line or hierarchy, operating core, technostructure, support staff or logistic supports, and how that is helping defining the organizational structure. What is strategic apex? It develops the company's strategy, vision, mission, and helps organization to get guidelines for performance. Middle line or hierarchy, it consists of those connecting operational core and the strategic apex. It's a kind of a linkage or liaising role between the top management and the operational roles. Operational core consists of employees who take care of the work of producing the products, services, who convert the raw materials into final products. Technostructure includes functions that are responsible for standardization of work process, regulations, planning, setting up norms, etc., used by rest of the organization. Finally, the support staff or logistics staff includes functions that support the operating core of an organization like catering, cleaning, etc. So, what we have understood is Mintzberg has laid down the guidelines for defining organizational structure, and every role is important for performance of organization. So, we will further explore the definition of generic components of organizational structure. What is operational core? What is strategic apex, hierarchy or chain of command? As we have already discussed in several definitions, as Henry Mintzberg has explained in the previous section. So, operational core is central facility where the activities of an organization are administered, monitored, coordinated. For any organization, the top management is very important as they lay down the mission, vision, the rule, the like how the organization will be performing in next 5 to 10 years. So, the guidelines or the foresight or the future plans are defined by the operational core or the managers in the top management. The strategic apex is the top leadership level, CEOs or the board of governors who are responsible for setting the organization's overall vision, mission, and major strategies. Ensures operational core is central facility where the activities of an organization are administered, monitored, and coordinated. The strategic apex is the top leadership level, CEO or the board of governors who are responsible for setting the organization's overall vision, mission, and major strategies, ensuring alignment with the external environment and managing key stakeholder relationship distinct from day-to-day operations. Strategic core consists of the people who are influential in planning the strategies or plan of actions for the entire organization. The people in the top management, they lay down the vision, mission, strategy of an organization, which will help the organization to perform in the next 5 to 10 years, next next few years, how it will compete with the competitors, how is it responding to the changing business environment, like changing technology, how it can equip its manpower so that they are ready for taking up the new roles. Hierarchical chain of command. This emphasizes the flow of power and decision making from the top management to the subordinates, how it will help in streamlining the organization's various tasks. Logistic support refers to the essential service providers, the resources, and the planners or the planning like transport, warehousing, inventory management, how the raw materials are procured from various places, how it will be transported to the warehouses, how the inventory can be managed, and the finished goods, how it can be stored and where it can be placed, and how it can be taken to the market. To facilitate operations, ensures goods, people, or equipment where they need to be efficient, especially in complex projects like in construction of various dams or construction of major mega projects, military operations, and business. Or the technostructure refers to the group of technical experts, analysts, managers, engineers, planners, accountants to large modern organizations who influence business decisions. They focus on technical efficiency, standardization of operations, and organizational stability rather than merely focusing on the profit or uh, rather than merely focusing on the profits. So, it describes the skilled personnel designing and controlling an organization's processes, essentially the main brain behind the bureaucracy. Typologies of organizational structures, it talks about Mintzberg's model or Henry Mintzberg's model provides the basic configurations representing different possible combinations between the five basic parts. Mintzberg's model provides basic configurations representing different possible combinations between the five basic parts and the flows that connect them. Mintzberg's model identified organizational structure into five main types based on how work is coordinated and which part of the organization dominates. So, the five categories of organizational structure are simple structure, mechanistic, bureaucracy, professional bureaucracy, adhocracy, and divisional structure. What is simple structure? It has direct supervision, common in small businesses. For example, for a small shop, it's just an example of a simple structure. What is machine bureaucracy? Let us talk about machine bureaucracy. They have standardized processes, highly efficient, rule bound processes. And for example, there are large factories which cannot function unless they have standardized processes. What is professional bureaucracy? There are standardized skill sets of individuals, knowledge, and it's mostly driven by experts. Expert experts' knowledge, their competencies help in driving the professional bureaucratic organizations. For example, universities, hospitals are just universities and hospitals are able to sustain because of the experts' knowledge. If there are experts of the faculty fraternity, expertise or knowledge, skills, and efficiencies of doctors in case of hospitals, so that is the core competitive advantage of professional bureaucracy. Divisional forms of bureaucracy, standardized which divisional form of bureaucracy has a standardized output. The processes or the results are highly standardized, or the outputs or the product services are standardized. There is decentralization of decision making focused on the products uh, and the markets. For example, large conglomerates like you have Hindustan Liver Limited, they are producing products which are standardized, like the mass products which have no differentiation, the products are similar, like you have soap, you have automobiles, they are all having standardized products. What is adhocracy? There is a mutual adjustment, innovative, innovative firms, flexibility or agile teams, for example, tech startups, creative agencies, like you have ad making firms, like innovative organizations like Google, and there are you have Apple, which are coming up with the new products each day. So these firms are mostly categorized under adhocracy, where there is collaboration or mutual adjustment, there is a focus on flexible and agile teams, self managed teams, where the focus is mostly on innovation, coming up with new ideas so that the companies can sustain and survive. Mostly examples are tech startups. Relevance of Mintzberg's typology. How do you think that these typologies are relevant today? Each type of structure has its own specificity and is more or less well suited to different strategic orientation. What are the strategic orientation? Like some organizations have focus on mass production, some organizations have focus on standardized output, certain organizations are emphasizing on innovation, or some have like they cater to the niche market. So each type of structure has, with its own specificity, is more or less well suited to different strategic orientation. Some organizations focus on the cost minimization, or some have a specific segment of customers to be catered to. So, Mintzberg's typology is not intended to determine the type of structure, rather, it helps categorize existing organizations and how they tend to incline towards these standard structures. Thus, Mintzberg's typology is relevant to define the perspective of alignment between strategy and organization in order to identify where the company is located or its current status quo, see if its present organization will adapt to future desired structure, if different configuration would be more suitable or not. So, the relevance of understanding the Mintzberg's typology is it will help organizations to adjust itself as per the environmental demands. How the so that it is aligned more to the strategy of the organization. So let us discuss about simple structure. Here in this simple structure, the manager takes care of all the decisions, deals with suppliers, determines and supervises the tasks of each employee. For example, a small local shop or a business whose founder is also the manager, he employs three full time salespersons as well as a part time person who handles accounting. In this case, the simple structure is suitable because it is a small company with little complexity. However, if the business has to develop, for example, with the opening of subsidiaries in other cities, the simple structure could not provide to be efficient, or the simple structure could prove to be inefficient. The simple structure would prove to be inefficient as the decision making would become slow and manager, the only decision maker, would be overwhelmed. In case of machine bureaucracy, the management supervises each division The manager supervises each divisional manager, who in turn makes decision about the lower levels. A typical example of a machine bureaucracy is a bank, where each activity, that is controlling, compliance, risk management, is highly standardized and well regulated. The norms are well laid off. We cannot deviate from the norms which are existing there, the standardized norms. These activities are grouped under different divisions. The level of departmentalization is high, and the disadvantage is the structure has too many regulations. Rules, regulations are many, which can be a brake on innovation and a source of frustration for employees. Machine bureaucracy has technostructure as the key part, uses standardization of work processes as prime coordinating mechanism. It employs limited horizontal decentralization. Machine bureaucracy has many of the characteristics as explained by Weber in 1947, his concept of ideal bureaucracy, and which resembles the mechanistic organization. It has high degree of formalization and work specialization. Decisions are centralized and the span of management is narrow and organization is tall. There are many levels existing in the chain of command from top to bottom of the organization. Little horizontal or lateral coordination is needed. It has large technostructure and support staff. For example, in case of machine bureaucracy like the automobile manufacturers, steel companies and large government organizations, environment environment for machine bureaucracy is typically stable and the goal is to achieve internal efficiency. The public schools, they possess many characteristics of machine bureaucracy, but most schools are not machine bureaucracies in the pure sense. Large urban school districts are closer to machine bureaucracy than other medium sized or small schools. Likewise, professional bureaucracy is another form of structure where more democratic, like it is more democratic than the machine bureaucracy, and it is easier to motivate people. The operating core here is a major coordinating factor of influence. There are clear lines of authority and standardized administrative practices. Operating core is key part. It uses standardization of skills as prime coordinating mechanism and employs vertical and horizontal decentralization. The organization is relatively formalized but decentralized to provide autonomy to the professionals or experts whose knowledge defines the organization's performance. There is more autonomy given to them. For example, in case of experts like teachers, professional faculty members, or the doctors, they have more autonomy. Highly trained professionals provide non routine services to the clients or to the clients. Top management is very small, few middle managers, and the technostructure is generally small. Support staff is typically large to provide clerical and maintenance or administrative support for the professional core. For example, in case of universities, hospitals, and large law firms, which have expertise which is surviving on the knowledge and expertise of their professionals. Divisionalized forms of structure or divisionalized structure has a small central core, provides guidelines for business units that enjoys a high degree of autonomy. Mintzberg states that this is an extension of machine bureaucracy or may even compromise or it Mintzberg states that this is an extension of machine bureaucracy or may even comprise several machine bureaucracies within a single corporation. It is the middle line that forms a strong coordinating influence, as its key role is to translate the demands of the small central core into objectives of the operating core. The divisionalized structure is an example of typical multinational company. Adhocracy is another form which defines a research group specifically to carry out a project can be one example of adhocracy. Four professors from university from different faculties join forces to carry out a scientific study. The group is responsible for decisions and will be disbanded once the project is completed. So, this is one example which states that adhocracy has the support staff. Key part uses mutual adjustment as a means of coordination. There is a group which is managing it's like the internal mechanism or as a means of coordination and maintains selective pattern of decentralization. This structure tends to be low in formalization and decentralization. Technostructure is small because technical specialities are involved in the organization's operative core. Support staff is large to support the complex structure. The adhocracy is a complex structure. Adhocracies engage in non-routine tasks, the task which is drifting apart from the routine kind of environment or routine task. And adhocracy uses sophisticated technology, very specialized or sophisticated, a high level of technology. Primary goal of adhocracy is innovation. It emphasizes on innovation and rapid adaptation to changing environment. It is fast responding to the changes in the business environment. Adhocracies typically are medium sized, must be adaptable and uses resources efficiently. Adhocracy is, for example, some like aerospace and electronics industries, research and development firms, and very innovative. So, adhocracy is somewhat similar to organic structure. Now, let us understand the type of organizations like the simple structure, machine bureaucracy, professional bureaucracy, divisional structure and adhocracy. What are the characteristics of each of these structures, each of these configurations, and what is the process of coordination, part of organizations, which part of organization has been dominant, and what is the degree of or the level of centralization or decision making, what are the advantages and disadvantages. In order to describe or to compare and contrast, we are having clear description of the characteristics specific to each type of configuration. To begin with, the type of configuration like the simple structure. Simple structure is the characteristics is common in small businesses, in the small startups. What is the process of coordination? The process of coordination is direct supervision, and the part of organization is strategic apex, and the degree of centralization is adapting to change rapidly. It adapts to change. Whatever the demand of the business environment, it quickly adapts and changes. What is the disadvantage of the simple structure? Innovation is difficult. It is not very innovative. Machine bureaucracy, process of coordination is standardized work processes, and part of organization is technostructure. The degree of organizational degree of centralization is limited horizontal decentralization, and advantage is goal is very innovative and provide high quality specialized services, high quality of services. Its goal is innovative and provide high quality services. Disadvantage is coordination problems are there in case of machine bureaucracy. The third category is professional bureaucracy. Professional bureaucracy is expert driven. As I discussed earlier, universities and hospitals, they have expert knowledge of the faculty and specialized doctors. Expert driven, for example, in case of universities and hospitals, process of coordination is standardized skills and knowledge of the professionals. The part of organization is operating core or experts, expert driven organizations. Degree of centralization is strong, decentralization, vertical and horizontal, uh, different like strong decentralization, vertical and horizontal, uh, uh, horizontal type of organization, and advantages are uh, like it's a there is greater job security and greater self direction, and the disadvantages are there is it's slow and rigid decision making. Now let us focus on divisional structures. What is a divisional structure? It focused on products or markets, that is multiple business, large conglomerates, the characteristics, basic characteristics of these professional or the basic characteristics of divisional structures. Now, the process of coordination is standardized outputs and results. The coordination and part of the organization is middle line or the chain of command. Advantage is skill development, very quick decision making, and disadvantage is there are conflicts because of several divisions and higher cost. It leads to high cost. The basic characteristics of adhocracy is flexible teams. It has flexible teams which then these are more agile teams, the tech startups, research and development labs, creative agencies. Then process of coordination is mutual adjustment or mutual coordination, interdependencies on the team members, and part of organization is support staff like the logistics, and degree of centralization is decentralization of projects, for example selective decentralization, and advantage is innovative and engage in non-routine activities or non-routine tasks. Disadvantage is high employee stress due to constant pressure of innovation. What are the limitations of Mintzberg structures? Mintzberg's organizational structures have certain limitations. First of all, each structure is a simplification that in reality is often much more complex. In addition, the typology explained by Henry Mintzberg dates from 1980s, and other models of structures have appeared since then. As we are in year 2026, several evolutions to the organizational structure because the environment is constantly changing, because the technology has evolved since then. So, these are just a reference point for discussion, and it discusses about the relationship between strategy and structure. The basic the work of Chandler has been extended by Mintzberg, has again laid the groundwork for understanding the relationship between organizational structure and strategy. The linkage between strategy and structure is still evolving, and further the research in this area, particularly in service organizations like the schools and the professional organizations, will enhance administrators' understanding of organization structure. In the meantime, the leaders also need to recognize that structure and strategy are related to each other. So, in order to conclude, the Henry Mintzberg's definition, which started in 1992 and 2009, suggests that organizations can be differentiated along three basic dimensions. The key part of organization plays a major role in determining its structure, or the key part of the organization plays a major role in determining its success and failure. The prime coordinating mechanism, that is the major method the organization uses to coordinate various activities, and the type of decentralization used, that is the extent to which the organization involves subordinates in the decision making process. Using the three basic dimensions, key part of the organization, the prime coordinating mechanism, and the type of decentralization, Henry Mintzberg suggests that the strategy an organization adopts and the extent to which it practices the strategy results in five structural configuration, that is simple structure, machine bureaucracy, professional bureaucracy, divisional form of organization, and adhocracy. Thank you.